Welcome to the Penthouse Frequency. I'm your host, Carla Elizondo. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and mindset coach. And on this podcast, I want to discuss all things mindset, emotional regulation, and personal and spiritual development so that you can live your highest potential. No more living in the emotional basement. No more basement frequencies. It's all about the penthouse, baby. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, to the first official episode of the Penthouse Frequency. My name is Carla Elizondo. I am so excited to be doing this, and I am in my car right now. I've been thinking for so long. I put that first episode, which was really a trailer, out, what was it, last March, y'all? And it has been on my schedule to do, and this is how easy it is, a podcast. And you know what I'm so excited about this podcast is that it's the only type of media that I do that isn't visual. It's not a video, it's just audio. And I can make as many faces as I want and be as wild as I want. And I might even curse on here. But if there's going to be any cursing in episodes, I'll be sure to put the little explicit mark in case you have little kiddos around. But just to dive in, which I mentioned a little bit in the trailer, that the penthouse frequency is all about the levels within. We all have different levels of emotions, of different frequencies and vibrations, and we'll talk more about that. But you know what? We either feel really high and good and we're in our groove, or we're feeling low and dumpy. And those are our emotions, which is really our vibration. Like what vibes? What are vibes? They're just emotions. People can get real wild with it and make it seem so esoteric and confusing. But that is not what this podcast is about, my friends. I am here to simplify it. I am here to share stories and examples from my real life. And this is probably going to be the most behind the scenes, nitty gritty, exclusive content you'll get anywhere because I like to really teach and educate on my YouTube and my social medias. But this podcast is like an audio diary. That's what I want it to be. So buckle up, y'all. So anyways, when it comes, I was just sitting here thinking about really why do I care so much about frequency and vibration, which are really our emotions and our lived experience in this life, like how we experience where we're at, our frequency, so to speak, like what our life is. And why I'm so passionate is because I myself, many of you know this, have just lived in hell. I lived in the basement for so long, and I know many people find themselves there. They're just waiting. They're waiting and waiting. Years are passing, decades are passing, and nothing seems to be changing. So like, how do we shift our realities? How do we shift those floors or frequencies that we're on and experience something that's lasting? And really, it's through understanding how our vibration and our emotions work. How do we regulate our emotions? We can't control our emotions, especially if, we've already unleashed a beast. There's no sense in trying to control it. We can just regulate it, meaning ride the wave. We're human. We're going to have all kinds of different emotional experiences, and none of them are good or bad. None of them are good or bad. So any human emotion, we're not here to judge it. It's not good or bad. Some of them feel better than others for sure, but we're not here to like high vibes only and like avoid, bypassing things and, being a, what do they call them? Bliss ninnies, like being a ding dong, I'm drinking my electrolytes. Please pause. And you know what? I'm not going to edit these videos. There might be long moments of pauses. Ain't nobody got time for that. I want this to be real and raw. So whilst I sit in my car, what's today? Today's February 2nd. It's hot as hell here in Southern California. I think today it's going to be like a high of 79 or something, but I'm in my car and it's a little toasty in here, but it feels really good. I love me some warm weather. So these episodes are just going to be me free flowing, just a stream of consciousness. But again, back to the core of what I want to do is really talk about how to regulate your emotions on this podcast, how to shift your vibration and frequency. Once you shift your vibration, you will shift your frequency. Because as I said in the first episode, your vibration dictates what floor you're on of that inner home, right? Either we are on higher levels, again, not good or bad. It's just where do we dwell? Where do we choose to dwell? The higher levels that feel better, like the penthouse, right? The penthouse frequency. Of course we want to be there, and we can be regardless of what's happening in our life, okay? But if you find yourself in an emotional basement, life is just lifing, right? Things are a little wild in the world right now. Actually, they're always wild. I went to a workshop this past weekend for A Course in Miracles, and we were just talking about how, or a gentleman talked about how things seem to be worse than ever now, and it seems to be the darkest. And one of the speakers was like, is it really? I think that there has been many times in history where it's been worse than this, you know? When we look at history and wars and the atrocious things that have happened and the scary things, it's the same, but it's just different, for us because it's new, it's the first time we have social media. Things can, just be a little more in our face. Things are in our face, and that will definitely, dictate how we're feeling, how we're thinking rather, because our thoughts will dictate how we feel, which is really our vibration. And how we feel and how we vibrate will dictate, how we experience this life, the floor, the frequency we're on. So that is what this podcast is all about. How to regulate our emotions by paying attention to the thoughts we think. And you cannot control all of your thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are real. Pop-up thoughts, like little weasels popping in, they will pop up, but it's the ones you get emotionally involved with. So I guess in this first episode, we'll just talk about, the whole thing. Jill Bolte Taylor talks about this, about how emotions last 90 seconds. So when you're upset, when something triggers you, even when you're happy and something fills you with joy, it's a 90-second chemical process in your brain and in your body. Anything beyond the 90 seconds of an intense emotion is us re-triggering that thought by thinking it, ruminating on it, talking about it, gossiping about it, telling all of our friends, venting, as we say. I'll talk about it. Another episode will be dedicated to venting because I used to think that was a good thing. And boy, is it not. Okay? That's another topic. But back to Jill Bolte Taylor. Emotions last 90 seconds. It's like a wave. It happens, it crests, gets to like the crescendo to the top, and then we go down. Emotions are not meant to be perpetually swam in for long periods of time, and we torture ourselves because, again, we're not taught this. So don't beat yourself up. This is not to poop on ourselves. But we truly are in control of how we feel regularly, predominantly. There was a great book by Elsie Lincoln Benedict called How to Get Anything You Want. I have a huge playlist, 93 episodes, y'all. 93 different videos on YouTube, so if you want to check that out. You can just search my name. That's my channel, Carla Elizondo. But I read that entire book of How to Get Anything You Want by Elsie Lincoln Benedict, and I think it was the very first chapter called Your Predominant Moods Make Your Life. The moods, the feelings you're in predominantly, the ones you frequent, the ones you feel most at the time, will make your entire life. And you are not a victim to the way you feel, okay? So when we continually think thoughts that make us feel like garbage, we are just reactivating that 90-second loop of emotional wave. And if it's good, fantastic. But if it's bad, that ain't good. But we have control over that. We don't have control over the circumstances in the outside world all the time, right? What other people do. But we have full control of how we're going to think about it, which will dictate how we feel about it. So, again, this is not to bypass. It's to be honest with ourselves. Every human emotion is valid, but it's not here to stay. If we've gone through a heartbreak or somebody passes away and we're grieving the loss of someone, that's the time to cry. And yeah, we'll be in an emotional basement, but we're not going to set up permanent address there. Many people have. I have at times. Hell, when I went through my first heartbreak, ooh, doggy. I mean, that lasted way longer than it should have because I continually kept ruminating. I mean, I was young, I was naive, and again, we're not taught how powerful our thoughts are, even if they're valid. As you all know, I'm a therapist, right? And if you didn't know, you know. And I think there's a lot of rhetoric in the therapeutic world and the psychology world that's meant to be helpful, but it's very harmful, right? Like, honor your emotions. That triggers me so much. I know what they're saying. It's like all of your feelings are valid, but I don't want to honor them. And the only reason why our feelings are valid is because they're stemming from the thought. Like, that's a valid feeling because the thought you had, you know. triggers that feeling. But what about your thoughts? It's like, rather than honor your feelings, I think it's honor your thoughts, as I'm just free flowing right now. Because everything's like thought is first cause, genuinely. Thought is cause, feelings are effect. How you feel is an effect of how you think. So if you want to change the way you feel, don't argue with your emotions. Don't try to bypass and say all sorts of affirmations and feel good and drink and go shopping and do your Amazon orders to get that hit, or go out to eat or have sex or gamble or social media doom scroll to feel good and distract. When you try to shift in an emotion with an emotion, it's like you're just moving the furniture around. You're not fixing anything, you know? If you truly want to shift the way you feel, you have to shift the way you think. Just become aware of your thoughts. And there's a lot of them. 60,000 thoughts are average a day. And we can't control those. But we can control the ones we get emotionally involved with. So right here, right now, as you're listening to this, I want you to just tap in and tune into the way you feel. Let's do a little exercise. Just take a deep breath. What do you feel in your body right now? What do you feel in your chest? Is your jaw tense? Are your shoulders tight? Is your forehead furrowed, your brow furrowed? Just relax. How are you feeling right now in your physical body? And as you just breathe and notice, I want you to just observe what's going on in your mind? What kind of thoughts? What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about your relationships, about your health, about your money, about your job, about the state of the world? What are you thinking? Are you excited? Are you planning a trip? Did you just get really good news? What are you thinking about? Whatever's heavy on your mind is the cause of the effect of how you're feeling. And this is not to, blame yourself. It's just about awareness. And that's how easy it can be at any given moment. Just taking that moment to pause and first feel, because we're not always aware of what we're thinking, because a lot of it's unconscious, and unconscious is not conscious. It's quite literally unconscious. And so a lot of people beat themselves up like, I'm not thinking anything. I swear, I don't know what's on my mind. I'm just feeling anxious. Honey, you're feeling anxious for a reason. And so it's easier just to tune into your body and feel your feelings first, and then explore, what is this about? And you'll know right away. Yep. That text isn't sitting right with me. That conversation, that to-do list, that thing I keep putting off, this decision I need to make. That's what's causing the way we feel. So that was just like a little mini exercise. I want to do those on these podcasts. I want this to be experiential too. And if there's anything you guys want to hear more about, or experiences you want me to walk you through just auditorily, leave it in the comments. I'm new to podcasting, but I think you could leave comments on here. I don't know where you're listening to this, Spotify, iTunes, the YouTubes, but leave some comments of topics you want to hear about, things you're navigating, right? It's like, this is for you, and this is really fun. This is a different medium of expression for me and a way to connect with all of you. So again, I think I just wanted to establish in this first episode, what does it take to be in the penthouse frequency, to really feel good? I used to think it was cheesy at first, but it's the truth, It's like, where are we dwelling? Are we communing with the highest version of ourselves in that metaphorical penthouse of our spirit, of our soul? Or are we down in the basement in the gutter with the darkness? Like, let's not fool ourselves. And I was even just thinking, like, I always say, yeah, the penthouse and the basement and everywhere in between. It's like, I think we're never really anywhere in between. Like, there's no neutral, there's no middle ground. Like, we really are in the penthouse or we're in the basement, period. Like, very black and white. I can really get on my high horse about we're either in love or fear. And I get that from A Course in Miracles. That's my spiritual sobriety. And this podcast is going to be about spiritual sobriety, emotional elegance, as I like to say. This is a place for people who like to be emotionally elegant, pinky up. You know what I'm saying? Penthouse people. Because life is tough. This is not about like, oh my God, I don't go through anything. I'm very honest with everything I go through. Lordy, lordy. Life's wild, man. And life will keep lifing. It's never going to stop. People don't like to hear that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was just telling a client the other day, this person is having trouble going to sleep early. Let's just say that. They are staying up late, doom scrolling, doing anything but sleeping because they think it's, have you ever heard of like revenge, what is it called? Sleep procrastination, like revenge procrastination. It's like, you've been busy your whole day. You've been giving your all to your clients or your job or your family, and you want you time. So you stay up late. You're like, I deserve this. But then you wake up in the morning, you feel like garbage. You're like, crap. Right? So it's like we feel like we have to, or we can stay up late and enjoy, right, our social media or our TV shows or our cookies at night or our drinks or nighttime cocktails because we deserve it. But really, we're just hurting ourselves. That's a whole nother topic. I'll have an episode on that. But back to the client. So this person was saying how they have trouble going to sleep because they, want to get things done or have their me time at night, but they really are feeling like garbage in the morning. They have brain fog. They're tired. Their cortisol is spiked all day because they're not getting enough sleep. And I said, you have an addiction to staying up late. And this person was like, yeah, I do. Like, I can't quit. I can't do it. No matter if I say I'm going to go to bed at 10, here goes 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And then I get in bed with all the intentions of getting 8 hours of sleep. Then there goes, now I'm only going to get 7 hours. Then I'm only going to get 6. Then I'm only going to get 5. And they continue to betray themselves because it's like this part of them that's addicted. Like any addiction is when you do something that you don't want to do, but you can't stop. You're addicted. You're an addict. You're powerless against it, as they say in the 12 steps. So I like to come at it with a very strong framework of whatever you're doing that you can't stop. Like if there's something you want to do and you just can't do it, like there's an addicted part of you that you're powerless against. Because if you could do it, you would. You wouldn't be in this situation, right? Of course, some addictions are, more severe than others. But just like metaphorically speaking, I was telling this person, I said, look, addictions have one goal: to kill you. And I don't just mean that metaphorically. Flat out. And this person started laughing. And I said, if you don't get your crap together, this will kill you. And they were kind of laughing. And I was like, I'm serious. Like, if you continue to not get proper sleep, you get 6 hours, 5 hours, your cortisol keeps spiking, your weight goes up, your blood pressure will go up, your brain fog will increase, your health will deteriorate. You'll have a heart attack. You'll have a stroke. Like, it will kill you. And we play too much. And I'm going to curse here. But this is the whole thing about, we fuck around and we find out. We think it's not going to happen to us. We think we're the exception to the rule. Well, I'm so good in other areas of life. Like, surely I'm a good person. This won't happen. No, it will. We're so entitled at times. And I know that's a strong word, but it's true. Anyways, I can go off on so many topics, but back to the black and white. And yes, there's nuances and gray areas, but like healing doesn't happen in gray areas. It happens in the extreme areas. So if that's not what you're about, then I'm not for you. Anyways, this person was like, damn, I've never heard it put that way. Like, no one's ever been that blunt with me. I said, you're welcome. Welcome to Carla's therapy office. Okay. because it doesn't serve anybody. Yes, there's some therapists who are very gentle and nice, but, like, that's just, of course, and I can be, you guys know I'm very, I'll meet you where you're at, but at the end of the day, I will tell you exactly what you need to hear, not what you wanna hear. Because that was me for so long. Jesus, like, I felt like I lost decades of life because people, number 1, didn't understand because 'cause they'd never been through it, to be honest. It's like, I'm so grateful I'm an addict. Well, I'm not an addict. I'm in recovery. Actually, I'm sober. I consider myself absolutely sober because I am sober. I'm gonna be sober 7 years in May. But, like, a lot of people don't experience that extreme, so they pussyfoot around in the middle, in the gray area, and that doesn't help anybody. I mean, how many people have died because people are afraid to be honest with them, like, tell them the dirty, hard truth. So, anywho, that's my piece. So, in summary, the Penthouse Frequency podcast is all about regulating your emotions by first regulating your thoughts, understanding that thoughts are cause, talking about different modalities, cognitive behavioral therapy, tapping, EFT tapping. I can take you to some guided audios on these episodes, telling stories, personal stories, sharing what I learn from my clients. Of course, I never disclose. So if anyone's listening, never feel. And a lot of people are like, are you talking about me? I'm like, I'm talking about a lot of people and myself included. So I hope that sharing wisdom and stories, I never identify anybody. So don't be scared. But there's stories that are really helpful, I'll never overshare information that can be identified to anybody, so don't worry. But, you know, they're very universal stories that many people struggle with. So I'll share those stories. Um, yeah, also from my sobriety, how I get through things, how I work through hard, difficult matters of, when I find myself triggered or in the basement, I can get up to that penthouse as soon as possible by not bypassing and not ignoring, but really alchemizing, right? Alchemizing the low level base thoughts into higher level thoughts. Life's too short. As I'm sitting here in my car right now, I was feeling so anxious and irritated and triggered. I mean, it's Monday. It's like a busy morning and a lot has happened. And I was like, not today, Satan. Like, one of the things in this weekend retreat I went to was, it's kind of like a teaching from A Course in Miracles. And it was basically like, your body will try to tell you how to feel and how to think. And even when you get a cold, when you get sick, God forbid you get a serious diagnosis, which I worked with people who have, your body, and we are convinced and programmed to think our body is what is going to dictate how we feel. Remember, your body's outside of you. Your body's considered the outside world. You are not your body. So do not let the outside world, including your body, to tell you how you will think and feel about it, even if you are in the most pain. Say you broke your foot. Say you have a terrible cold. You have a terrible headache. Do not let that headache dictate how you're going to think and feel. Yes, your head hurts. We're not denying that. But you don't have to go down a spiral. Of course, this is happening to me. Oh my God, my body's deteriorating. This is terrible. All of that might be true. But do not let that dictate how you think and feel about yourself. Oh, I don't deserve this. I'm a terrible person. My life is screwed. Like, no. Even though I have a headache, I'm going to be just fine. This really sucks. I'm going to lay down. I'm going to turn the lights off. I'm going to take some Advil. I'm going to go see a doctor. Like, be normal. Take action. Don't bypass it. But also don't let it dictate and totally hold you hostage to, like, shitty thoughts and feelings. Do not let your body tell you what to think and feel. Let that right part of your mind tell your body how it's going to feel and how it's going to think, regardless of what's happening in it. That's where our true power lies. The only thing we have control over is our thoughts. And that dictates everything, our experience of life. Like, for example, there's a lot going on in the world right now. And it doesn't take a lot to get angry and pissed. That's the easiest thing to do, which most people are doing. But really think about it. It's okay to cry. It's okay to mourn. It's okay to be angry or pissed or just, irritated and hate people, whatever. It's not okay, but like it's normal, like immediate. It's takes no energy, attention, effort, or focus to be triggered by what's the things that are happening, right? But how can you see it differently? It's like, what would it take to have a peaceful, loving outlook? That takes work. And people will even say, "How dare you?" Blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, like the majority do not think that way. And that's why we're in the situation we're in. You know, the majority and the masses cause most of the problems through their reaction and the action in their thoughts. It's like not helping anything. Like, do you think anyone's mind's going to be changed by yelling and shitting on them and telling them what kind of idiots they are? No. Just think of it this way. I heard somebody say, oh my God, it was this podcast. It was so good. And I said this before too, but like really think about it. This girl said, think about the biggest issues, religion and politics. Religion and politics. Think about you, think about your experience, think about your friends, family, the people you agree with and disagree with. Think about religion and politics. How many times do you hear about people changing their political beliefs and their religious views and beliefs from an opposing view on social media? A zero. Zero. But I know people who have changed their political and religious beliefs by experiencing somebody by example and them living a way of love, peace, and understanding that they've never seen before that starts to shift the way they see and think about things. It's basically love. Love shifts it. And there ain't a lot of love on social media. So even though there's a lot of things going on and you might be feeling a lot of things, again, it's not to, deny it. It's like, now what? What do you want to do with it? How do we make change? How do we help? How do we bring solutions to the problems that we perceive? Well, it ain't through anger and, belligerency. It's not. Not permanent change, that's for sure. I know it's a touchy subject, but I'm going to talk more on that, because the only answer is regulation, peace, and love. Genuinely, I know it sounds trite and cheesy, but it's the hardest thing to do because all we want to do is rage and anger and argue and fight. And hello, why do you think everything ends up in war? We really think that we're society. We're so like evolved. Like, we're not going to have war. Oh, yes, we will. Yes, we will. That's why, again, goes back to entitlement. We're like so entitled. We like look back at like World War II and like things like the Holocaust and terrible things that have happened. It's like, oh, that wouldn't happen to us. We're so evolved. No, we're not. We're really not. I don't mean to be like pessimistic, but like we really need to sober up and look at the reality of things, But I say all that to say, with all of that, right, that's going on, you can still be in a place of peace. Think about how things have changed, like Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. There's, what is that? Amma, the hugging saint, There's people who can hold peace and love regardless of what's happening. They're not denying it, but they're bringing a new energy to it. They're bringing penthouse energy to terrible things in the world. And what does the basement want to say? How dare you be in a penthouse when all these terrible things are happening? But it's only from there where you can get a higher point of view. You can get solutions and answers that are permanent and lasting and actually healing, So look at me just riffing for it's 28 minutes at this point. But I'm glad I'm doing this. I'm so grateful. But I was sitting in the car and I was feeling all dysregulated and I sat there and I did this breathing exercise. I'm gonna do a video on this and put it on my YouTubes and my social media. What is it called? Oh my God. It's a Sanskrit word, but it's a breathing exercise you do by holding one nostril closed. Like you push your finger against one side of your nose and close the nostril and you breathe in through the other nostril. And then you close that nostril and you breathe the air out of the other nostril. And then you breathe in that same nostril and then you release the air out of the other nostril. I'm such a ding dong. I don't know the word for it. It's just like alternate nose breathing, but there's like a fancy Sanskrit word for it. But anyways, I did that, regulated my breathing. I did some tapping, right? And I told my body, even though you feel anxious, you are not going to dictate how I think and feel. And I regulated it. And here I am doing a podcast like, hello, that I've been putting off and procrastinating for almost a year. How embarrassing. But you know what? This is how people do it, you know? So I was able to get from the basement into the penthouse, and then look what I'm doing from the penthouse. I can see more clearly. I can feel more clearly. I'm creating, because that's what you do from a clear creative, a clear regulated state. You can create. When we're in the basement and we're dysregulated, we can't create a thing. And that's why manifestation doesn't work for a lot of people. There's a lot of topics. Manifestation, I'm going to talk about the law of assumption, regulating your emotions, therapy talk, sobriety talk, A Course in Miracles talk, relationships, healing, all sorts of things. So tell me what you want to hear about. I'm so grateful to have you here if you're listening. This was so nice to just be able to free flow. Because, sometimes most of the times when it's videos, you got to edit that stuff and care what you look like. Even though I look cute right now. She always be looking cute. You know what I'm saying? I have a great t-shirt on. It says House Stark. It's from Game of Thrones. I think I got it at Target years ago when Game of Thrones was out. House Stark all the way. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I hope you're having a beautiful February. I hope you're having a beautiful 2026 to start off. Remember, your thoughts create everything. We live in the penthouse here, talking all things penthouse frequency. I'm going to take you through guided experiences, answer your questions, share real life stories. And again, I'm grateful to have you here. I love you all so much. Here's to a beautiful 2026. It's already beautiful because we decided it. And that is not cheesy bypass talk. We are not going to acquiesce and be a part of the complaining, self-deprecating, joking, 2026 is a shit show already. No. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between reality and a joke. Your subconscious mind cannot take a joke. So be very, very careful, again, with the thoughts you think and the words that you speak, your mental diet. All right, y'all, till next time, I love you so much. I'll see you in the next episode.